Thank you for joining me, Tershia de Klerk, on Tershia Talks Trafficking. My talks aim to help expose exploitation, and we know that human trafficking is the exploitation of people's vulnerabilities, and it takes place when a person is tricked, coerced, or manipulated for the use of their body or for their labor. Human trafficking can take place even when transportation is absent. This reality helps us understand trafficking and enables more effective prevention of trafficking. The more we understand and grasp the definition of human trafficking in South Africa, the more effective we will be in helping to prevent and combat this crime, which is known as the fastest growing organized crime in the world. I want to share with you 2 case studies which reveals human trafficking rights violations within labor trafficking, but also with illegal migrants. There is often a confusion between these 2 definitions, and it unfortunately does happen that even the legal system sometimes fails to correctly identify victims of human trafficking by zooming in on illegal migration, instead of the possibility of force, fraud, coercion, and deception, which are key factors of human trafficking. Human trafficking and smuggling of migrants are 2 very different crimes. With smuggling, you must cross national borders, and it is a crime against the state, not against an individual, such as in the case of human trafficking. In the case of smuggling, people can be smuggled voluntarily or willingly. There are no means present. In other words, the way in which the victim's vulnerability is exploited, such as threats, coercion, fraud, deception, or abuse of power, etc. Smuggling can be committed without exploitation. The smuggler is paid for his or her service, and no one else benefits. Now let's look at these cases that I want to share with you. The one case was that of human trafficking, which was investigated in Wentworth, Durban South. The case deals with multiple complaints of human trafficking, specifically labor trafficking. A Hawks spokesperson commented on a trend indicating that young colored men between the ages of 19 and 26 were being targeted in Wentworth. The victims are also usually known to be so-called recruiters in the area, and the communication is mainly done via WhatsApp. A family member of a victim said, "These are males known by the community and the victims. They would be in and out of the countries, portraying the rich and dream life all over their social media. They would then offer people in the community the chance to live the life that they have. The people in our community are desperate for a stable job that would bring in a stable income. So they fall into their trap." The Wentworth victims were last seen almost 6 months ago after someone promised them a dream life of living abroad and living lavishly. The same family member of one of the victims has also said that they managed to contact the victim, but that it is evident that the victims are being watched and their phones possibly tapped. So some warning signs of human trafficking in this case. Job offers that require no experience but promise a very high pay. The requests for interviews are via WhatsApp or social media only. There's pressure to leave quickly without a contract or written details. And there's no clear information about accommodation, employers, or work location. There's no requests for processing or travel fees. And they also often discourage the young people from involving parents or guardians. Once a person is taken for labor trafficking, they very quickly start losing control of their life. The so-called recruiters, or of course traffickers, limit the communication that the victims may have with their families, or they would completely deny them any chance of speaking to their families. Their passports and travel documents are normally also taken from them. when they come from another country. Then they are forced to work under harsh conditions. They are exploited or abused. For one family of a victim in Wentworth, it's an emotional struggle every day. One of the family members commented, "We smile on the outside but are screaming on the inside with every passing day. We cannot cope sometimes during the day. It is very hard because now you are putting up this pretense and have to act like everything is all right." The Hawks are specifically warning families and communities to be safe and to follow the following safety tips. Do not allow young people to travel for work without verified documentation. Always confirm companies through official government or labor platforms. Never hand over ID documents or passports to unknown recruiters. Report suspicious recruitment activity immediately. Talk openly with young people about these dangers. We call on all parents, schools, faith leaders, community organizations, and authorities to work together to strengthen awareness, reporting systems, and protection mechanisms. And so that leads me to the other case, which was a case in Newcastle where multiple sweatshops were discovered. These sweatshops were producing goods for some of South Africa's largest retailers. They were allegedly selling clothing that were being produced by these sweatshops in Newcastle. It was reported that these factories were breaking various laws, as well as municipal bylaws, and violating human rights. An oversight visit was made to the Newcastle industrial zone, and it was reported that the factories were subjecting their workers to health hazardous working and living conditions. After visiting the industrial zone, the Department of Employment and Labour released a statement saying that employers were arrested during the joint interdepartmental inspection for abusing immigration laws by hiring 34 illegal foreigners who were working in South Africa without valid documents. During the inspection, they found dozens of illegal workers who reside on the premises of the clothing factories. A spokesperson said that there was merchandise produced and packaged for delivery to the big retailers as confirmed by the factories. And the source also said that most of the time, these people are forced to work 24 hours without breaks and without being paid for overtime. These sweatshops have a marker due to South Africans, she said, and she said that workers of the sweatshops were treated less than human. Another individual who was also part of the oversight visit said that some sweatshop employees were illegal immigrants from Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and Swaziland, and they complained about not being paid, and that they were then told to pay the employees or the illegal migrants immediately, and apparently those workers were then paid a very small wage in cash. And just very importantly, all the accused retailers responded that they either did not approve of these factories to produce their clothing, or they have indicated that they are investigating the matter. Another said that they support the inspection at the Newcastle factories and that they are treating the matter with the seriousness that it deserves. So note that the sweatshop case in Newcastle has a very similar ring to the labour case in Wentworth. And also in both cases, the victims are being subjected to human rights violations. So the question is, how were they recruited and for what purpose? So remember, with smuggling, you must cross national borders, and it is a crime against the state and not against an individual, such as in the case of human trafficking. In the case of smuggling, people can be smuggled voluntarily or willingly. There are no means present. In other words, with smuggling, there are no threats, coercion, fraud, or deception. No abuse of power. So smuggling can be committed without exploitation. The smuggler is paid for his or her service and no one else benefits. With human trafficking, on the other hand, that takes place when a person is tricked, coerced, or manipulated for the use of their body or for their labor. I want to ask you, please pray for our authorities in South Africa and various governmental bodies that they would be well equipped, sharp, and ethical in correctly identifying human trafficking victims and not push them through the system as illegal immigrants, and by so doing, re-traumatize them. This will also include the lack of proper victim support. Please also remember that South Africa has its own National Human Trafficking Hotline number, which is 0800 222 777. Remember, this is a 24/7 anonymous reporting hotline, and it is a free job vetting hotline. Please make use of this amazing tool. And also remember Missing Children South Africa, where you can report both missing adults and children. The number is 072 missing or 072 647 7464. You can also make use of the Joseph Movement WhatsApp line, which is 082 766 9870. Thank you very much for joining me, Tershia de Klerk, here to help expose exploitation. And remember, if you suspect something, say something. Goodbye and God bless.